My name is Javion Robertson. Welcome to Talking PHAT. Like, share, subscribe.
Welcome to Talking PHAT. That's PHAT spelled P-H-A-T, which stands for purpose, hope, and truth. This is where solutions are discussed for today's problems in our country, in our communities, and in our lives.
Welcome to another episode of Talking PHAT. I am your host, Keith Robertson, and it's Talking PHAT. P-H-A-T, not F-A-T, which is the acronym for Purpose, Hope, and Truth. This is where we bring public information forward that a lot of times is not public knowledge. But listen, I want to thank each and every one of you all for tuning in. I'm back. I'm over the flu now. I almost got my voice back, y'all. So I'm back in the saddle again, as they say, right? So I wanted to come this week to bring some more economical news to you, and hoping that you will take this information and apply it to however you can to your specific situation in life. In the coming weeks, we're going to have other individuals that come forward as well, various lines of business, and it's all about building, right? We want to make sure that we provide information that can be useful. Please like, share, and subscribe. As we say, we're doing something because it's doing something.
All right, let's go. So listen, there are some things I want to elaborate a little bit more on from the report that I did last week, but there are definitely some things going on in the economy that you guys need to know. First of all, it's happening again, y'all. Republic First Bank closed, becoming the first U.S. bank failure in 2024. Not to be confused with First Republic Bank, which they closed back in 2023, got caught up in, Silicon Valley Bank, and it all started with the collapse of crypto flame out FTX. But it's happening again. This Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities, which appointed the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation as the receiver. Of course, that's the FDIC for the insurance. Republic Bank is the first bank failure this year. The last failure was Citizens Bank, Sac City, Iowa, on November 3rd, 2023. To protect depositors, the FDIC entered an agreement with Fulton Bank, National Association of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to assume sustainability of all deposits and purchase sustainability of all assets of Republic Bank. Republic Bank's 32 branches in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York will reopen its branches of Fulton Bank on Saturday. Again, like I told you guys, you cannot be focused on what they're telling you. I'm going to say it again, and I may say it several other times throughout this conversation. If you continue to watch the TV and just have your head down and not pay attention to what's really going on, redirection like P Diddy, right? And the things of that nature. Now, let me say this. I'm not saying that is an important situation, but you have to continue to look at what's going on in your personal life while you advocate for these serious accusations and wrongdoings. But as we look at the economy, what's going on this week?
First of all, again, if you're watching the television, they're telling us how great the economy is. Unemployment is down, jobs are up. Spoke about that last week. Had a lot to do with immigration, right? That things are just moving in the direction of what they need to move in. But listen, as we see what's going on now, again, we used to talk about, hey, it was the top 20%. You had lower class, middle class, and upper class. It's no longer 20%. Now, statistically, it's 10%. As long as that 10% is spending, they say everything is great, right? But the average household, right? 68% of U.S. households are living paycheck to paycheck. How can things be great? So keep looking at TV. And again, if you're watching the program, you're going to get programmed. Even to the point where, the eclipse the other day, they were saying that, hey, the end was coming. But listen, let's be realistic. All you got to do is go to Scripture and what the Scriptures say. And you will hear wars and rumors of wars. See, you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famine, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. This is what we see going on in our society right now. It's the beginning of those sorrows. So we have to position ourselves to put our heirs in place. You understand? We have to position ourselves to ensure that the people behind us, our family that's behind us, are in position to continue to strive and be successful in this life journey that they're on. But in any case, let's go to the economy. So the economy is still doing what we call the higher highs, right? We looked at it's everything is still going. Everybody's still buying. I should say the market is still on an upward trajectory as we look, right? We see now that this is a historical record of the NASDAQ from 2004 to present. It has continued to go up. Of course, we had the crash, that big dip is this as the real estate crash in '08, right? And then if we go up and we see the dip near the top, well, that was COVID. But after COVID, you see we're yet still on an upward trajectory. But I spoke to you guys about what I call a pullback or a recorrection in the market. But that has happened, right? We looked last Friday. If you look at the top flag says correction and the bottom says pullback. And what that actually created was an opportunity. Because like I said, there are opportunities to invest in the marketplace now to take that capital that we have and make more capital out of it, right? When we look at that correction, right, it actually did a pullback. And what that pullback did was it gives you an opportunity to buy stocks. With stocks that were overpriced or buy into the stock market in various areas that were overpriced. Now, because of the pullback, you have an opportunity to buy lower and then get in the market and realize some of those gains. You know, you had an opportunity to buy some AMD stocks, NVIDIA, some Meta, some of those, you know, some of the top 7 stocks that were actually shoring up our stock market anyway, or our economy. But listen, this is not investment advice. This is for educational purposes, but I'm just speaking facts, right? And then we look at what's going on in the Middle East, right? That's a big shock right there, because that can have a negative effect on our economy as well.
300 drones were shot by Iran into Israel. But you know what the U.S. said? The White House has warned Israel that the U.S. would not participate in any retaliatory strikes. No, we're not going into any wars right now, you know, or any of that. Because we're in election year. We're in election year, and first of all, we don't want to get over there in the Middle East messing around and cause the oil prices to go up, even though we could use our oil reserves, but it would take a policy change. Right now, that's not going to happen because, again, we're in the election year. When you look at the oil reserves, we got over 365 million barrels of oil in reserve. So we have opportunities there. But again, during this election period, nothing's going to happen, right? Because it takes policy change. And even with Biden, you're looking at 35% of the Americans approve of him. But listen, 65% don't. And that's, we're talking about, in this case, we're talking about, it's not even about policy lines now. 65% of Democrats, if not higher, disapprove of what's going on in the Biden administration. But always remember this, you know, effective change starts at your local level. You know, start going to your city council meetings and see what it is that they're talking about, whether they are planning. You know, even if you go to your city planning, realize they plan like 10 years ahead, and you can see what's going on if you actually went out and did investigation, right? Because we say action of knowledge leads to power. It's not information, but it's the action of that information. So let's move on. And what else happened this week? The Federal Reserve.
Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, he said, hey, higher for longer. What does that mean? What he's talking about is that prime rate. Going to keep that prime rate up there higher for longer because, again, remember, they had an inflation rate of 2%. They didn't make that inflation rate of 2%. It actually had gone down to 3.2 when they increased those rates. That prime rate, but hey, it has creeped back up to 3.5. So again, I just showed you the chart. So what they're trying to do is really not working. They can't decrease the interest rates for them. They can't. Now listen, the bottom line is this, that the prime rate is 8.5. And when we look at the interest rate of the 30-year fixed mortgage rate now, it's around about 7.3%. You know, the banks getting their money at a higher rate. Of course, it's going to trickle down to us, but yet because of the lag effect, that increase in that prime rate still really has not affected us to a great deal. When you look at what's going on in the market right now, so the 30-year fixed mortgage rate now is averaging about 7.3% as of Friday. So, but when we look at the median sales price in the U.S., we're looking at $420,321 per the Redfin report. Now, what does that mean to us? That's when the average salary in the U.S. is $63,795. Let's really look at the math on this thing.
You have a sales price of $420,321. Then you have an interest rate of 7.3, and we're talking about a 30-year fixed mortgage. The actual payment is $2,881.60. We haven't even talked about food. We haven't talked about utilities. We haven't talked about child care expense. We haven't talked about insurances or the taxes insurances for the house. You know, it said they want to turn us into a nation of renters. And then I'm hearing this new conversation that they don't want you to own anything. It's time to wake up. You have companies out here, corporations, that are actually buying these houses. They're buying full subdivisions and renting those properties. Can you imagine a whole subdivision, nothing but renters? That is not the American dream. That is not the American dream that they talked about and that I know about. It's time for us to come together as a unified force and put things in place for our communities, for our cities, for our country. We need to hold these politicians accountable for these laws that are put in place that has caused the detriment of the black community. Well, that's it for this week, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. Don't want to make this episode too long, but I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Talking PHAT. We will be back soon. And always remember, when we know better, we can do better, because action of knowledge leads to power. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for taking time to tune in to Talking PHAT. As we know better, we must do better, because action of knowledge leads to power. If this content has been useful to you, please like and share. Tune in again. Peace and blessings.